Yo, it's Zero, and this is a series that I'll try to bring to my channel. What if Nezuko was a slayer? I'm pretty sure this one has been done a lot in the past by many other people, but I wanted to do it as well and take my own spin on the topic. I also wanted to give her a breathing style that I think would go well with the story, but we'll get into that once the video starts. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and to like the video to show me that you guys want more of this series as well. And without any more wait at all, let's get started.
Let's get it. I'm a trapping fanatic, that shit automatic, so I cannot turn it on or off. Bitches all on my dick, then she hop on my dick. I'm like, why you keep hopping on and off? Yo, bitch all on my dick, she be doing the most. I tell her, little bitch, she so extra. And my gun up on me, but not run up on me. Niggas, they wanna fight, they some wrestlers. And you know 30K got the mop. Sacked up, yeah, I got them knots. Act up, get your body in a box. Told the demon, you know how I rock.
Well, as many of you know, we have to start with their backstory. But how will we make it so that Nezuko isn't turned to a demon here as well? After some thought, I have figured out the easiest way to do so. Tanjiro says goodbye to his family as usual and heads down the mountain to make some money. On his way back up, a deadly snowstorm appeared and he was forced to take shelter with an older man. In the morning, Tanjiro continued back up the mountain, but on his path, he saw his sister Nezuko on the ground, unconscious. He drops his backpack and runs to her. Nezuko. Hey, Nezuko, are you okay? What happened? Quickly, he realized that her body was freezing cold as she was unconscious as well. Tanjiro here put a blanket around her and placed her on his back, beginning to carry her back to their home. Within the mind of Nezuko, she was dreaming about what had happened, and when the storm first began, she ran over her home to go find her brother, as she was scared for his safety. As she ran through the fog and the snow, she had tripped to the ground, and for some reason, the snow felt immensely heavy, but she had managed to stand back up. She ran for hours and had passed out from exhaustion, leading us to where we are now. Nezuko wakes up and sees her brother, relieved that he's safe now, but something was wrong. She looks around, and she sees that they are at home, so what could be wrong? No. What's that smell? Why is it sort of familiar? It can't be. Is that blood? Tanjiro and Nezuko run into their house to see blood everywhere. How could this happen? Who did this? The two siblings cry harder than ever, realizing the world they had once lived in was now shattered to pieces. Hours go by as someone makes it to the Kamado home. Giyu Tomioka, the water Hashira. Giyu looks around the home and sees two kids praying over gravestones. After they were done, he approaches them. I'm sorry I couldn't make it earlier. If only I was faster, your family wouldn't have... Giyu was then cut off by the hand of Tanjiro on his shoulder. Their eyes met, and Giyu could tell that he'd been crying for a very long time. It's not your fault at all. Don't be so hard on yourself. I just wish there was a way for people like us to prevent this from happening to anyone else. You're right, Tanjiro. No one else should have to go through this as well. Giyu looks down at the younger girl as he could tell that she was truly devastated as well. He then gets the idea to have them train under his former sensei. He sends them on their way towards Orokodaki's place, and as night falls, they would arrive to a place with a shrine. As they look around, they run into a demon that would attack them. Nezuko and Tanjiro manage to dodge from the first attack, and without second thought, as if on instinct, Tanjiro slashed off the head of the demon with his axe, and as the sun rises once again, the demon was burned into nothing, and Orokodaki appears, asking if they are the ones that Giyu had spoke about within his note. They confirm this, and they tell him their story, causing the man to start their training to become slayers. The two of them do the basics, all that physical training that Tanjiro had to do in the original. However, as they trained, Orokodaki noticed special things about Nezuko. After about a year or two, the two proceeded to the next step, the boulder. Of course, our protagonists get help from Sabito and Makomo, making it easier for them to eventually cut down the boulder. Orokodaki still doesn't let them continue to take the test because of Nezuko's lack of water breathing, as she was never able to do any of the forms. For some reason, she was unable to master what her elder brother could do with ease. He tries to explain it to her multiple times, but it still has no effect on her. One snowy night, up on the mountain, Nezuko awoke from her slumber and headed outside with her blade, sensing that something was wrong. As she walked around, she encountered a small demon, a little girl all on her own. Perfect, the demon would say, as Nezuko was able to block and counter some of the attacks, but without the aid of a breathing style, it would be very hard for her to gain the edge. The demon dodged her blade and then slammed her into a nearby tree, causing her to cough up a little bit of blood. Looking back up, she could see that the demon was now walking towards her once again. Nezuko then saw the ghost of her mother, who gave her advice. Nezuko, you're strong, but the strength that Tanjiro has is different from your own. Become one with yourself. Embrace your individuality, Nezuko. Be you. As the ghost fades and disappears away, Nezuko grits her teeth and grabs her blade. Bowing her head, she then says, "Frost breathing, first form, Kori slash." Nezuko speeds past the demon, who is now seen behind her in a frozen statue that shatters once she sheathes her own blade. Claps are then heard from a distance as she turns to see Orokodaki congratulating her on creating her own breathing technique. "Thank you so much, Sensei. I'm gonna make you proud, I promise." "I know you will, but let's continue your training so that you can master this technique." A couple more months would go by until Orokodaki sends the two off to become slayers. When they reach the wisteria plants, they are amazed by their beauty and color. We skip ahead to when the Kamado siblings make it into the demon-infested mountain. "Alright, Nezuko, make sure to stay by my side. We'll be able to take out more demons if we stick together." "Alright, but don't go easy on any of them, just because you feel bad, Tanjiro." The two smile at one another and they begin. However, the only battle that I truly want to go over is the one with the large green demon. Nezuko cuts through another demon and then looks forward to see a much bigger one staring at her outfit. "You must be the students of Orokodaki. I've killed many of his students in my time as a demon, and you will be no different." Since we don't get to see much of Nezuko's human personality in the show, I imagine she's like Tanjiro, but way more aggressive in battle. So, she will be the one to rush the large demon with her brother close behind her. Frost breathing, second form, frostbite. Nezuko lands multiple slashes, cutting off many of the demon's arms, and Tanjiro would do the same with the water breathing, third form, flowing dance. The two were in sync, and they were able to cut off all the arms of the demon. However, the demon regenerated faster than they had thought, as Nezuko was regaining her stamina, and the demon took advantage of this, swinging his fist in her direction. Quickly, Tanjiro blocked the attack for her, but he did take a little bit of damage as he would be sent away. Well, not too far, but away from the main point of the battle, and he was sent into another tree, which knocked the wind out of him. Nezuko looked up at the demon with rage and jumped towards it, dodging a punch and now running on its arms. She would say, "Frost breathing, first form, Kori slash." Nezuko slices through the head of the demon, but it does not come off, as the demon begins to mock her until it realizes that its head is completely frozen, and with the last bit of strength within his body, Tanjiro jumped at the demon and used Water Wheel to split the head of it in two, causing it to shatter, and the demon began to vanish. Obviously, the two would survive until sunrise and then make it out to an area where only a couple other slayers were there. Of course, everything here goes the same with them picking their ore and returning to Orokodaki. Weeks go by as the sword makers would arrive as they give them their blades. Nezuko opens or unsheathes hers first, and it's a white blade with blue on some parts of it, reflecting her pure but cold nature and her breathing style. and Tanjiro's would still be black, surprising all of them. The Kamado siblings continue to train and wait until the crows come, delivering the information for their very first mission. They go to a small town where demons were taking people in their sleep. Most of the victims were women, so Nezuko told her brother to watch over her within her sleep. As she was laying down, faking being asleep, a demon appeared, and Tanjiro was able to slice off its hands before it was able to grab his sister. They then followed this very same demon out into the street where they could fight it, as another man or civilian would be there, following another one who had taken his wife. Tanjiro then jumped into a hole, following one of the demons, while Nezuko protected the man behind her. The demon rushes Nezuko, and she blocks with ease. "I can't let you live any longer. Don't make me laugh. You'll be joining my collection soon." If that's what you think. Frost breathing, second form, frostbite. Nezuko lets the demon get in close, and as it was trying to attack her, she vanishes with high speeds and appears next to his side. And then, ice appears around her blade as she uses the second form to slice through the demon, and it goes through, as then the head of it would shatter. And at the same time, Tanjiro was able to cut through the other demons with a whirlpool. The siblings would regroup, and they leave the village as well. The next mission they have is to go to Tokyo. As they sat down, enjoying a meal and talking, Tanjiro smells something, and Nezuko does as well. The same thing that he smelled that day. He grabs his sister, and they run off in that direction. And here is where I'll be making a big change to the story as well. Tanjiro grabs a man in the street where the smell was coming the strongest from, and his sister pulls out her blade without a second thought as Muzan looks at the two and sees the sun earrings on Tanjiro's ears. And it disgusts him, as he then would try to attack him, but Nezuko barely blocks, being sent into a crowd and then into a wall. Tanjiro grabs his blade, as the man was now gone now. So instead, he runs to his sister's aid. As he gets closer, he realizes that the man was holding Nezuko by her throat, lifting her into the air, about to strike her down. He knows that water breathing, well, any of the water breathing forms he knows, won't be close enough, as he then starts to cry, hoping that his sister would not die in this moment. But here is where Tanjiro would get flashbacks to his late father performing a dance. He wonders how his father was able to perform this dance for so long, even though his body was very frail. But for some reason, something told Tanjiro to now imitate this dance, as he then would do so, performing the Hinokami Kagura to slice off both hands of Muzan, freeing his sister, as he would then grab her and run away. Muzan, more enraged than ever, looks at his hands and then tries to regenerate. Instead of his hands coming back as fast as they usually do, they slowly form once again and now have scars on them because of the damage done by Tanjiro. This is when he gets memories or flashbacks to Yorichi. I must kill that boy as soon as possible, and it may be easier than I believe, as he doesn't seem as strong as that man, but that may change if I let him live in the future. So, let me get started. Muzan calls for 2 demons to now take care of him, and while this was going on, the 2 siblings ran into a strange woman where they would be taken to a secret location into a house. Lady Tamayo would explain why she brought them here. She's going to develop a poison to kill Muzan, and she needs their help. But before she was able to do any of that or say any more, a ball flew into the house and began bouncing around at rapid speeds, so much so that they had to block some of the attacks as more were coming in, but they were able to send the balls back outside, and they would chase them to see where they were going. The Kamado siblings step outside the house and see more demons, 2 of them actually. Yahaba and Susumaru stand before them, declaring that they were going to kill them. Nezuko and Tanjiro unsheathed their blades, looking towards these demons. I'll take the one on the right, you take the other one. Nezuko would nod as all four would rush at each other, yelling, beginning a new fight that we'll see in the future. And this is where I plan to end part 1 of this series. Let me know what you guys think so far. Do you believe that Tanjiro will use sun breathing in the next fight that we'll see in part 2? And what about Nezuko's frost breathing techniques? What do you think about those as well? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you do want a part 2 on this series. Thank you all for watching, as this is Zero, and I'll catch you all on the next one.